What's up, everybody? I'm Andrew Patrick, and this is For the Record.
Live from New York City.
Now, before we get started for today's show, I'm going to have to give an announcement of a change of format for this show moving forward. Now, as many of you have known that in the first two episodes, I've pretty much covered basically national news, and eventually at the end bring out some scores. You know, kind of like what a usual news broadcaster does. However, while I wanted to show people that I could cover more than just sports, in reality, really sports has been my bigger passion. So from here on out, I'm just going to be covering sports news and then of course give you some scores from around Major League Baseball or any other type of sport that may be playing on that day. So instead of the usual 5 that we have 6 stories that we're going to be covering. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get started with our first story of the day. As Baylor continues to clean house on campus, as their football head coach Art Briles has been fired from the university after 8 seasons from the Baylor Football Club. This comes also into the light of Ken Starr's firing as the campus president from these same sexual assault charges that were covered in the last episode, as you remember. Briles has been credited on making the Baylor Bears as one of the nation's most successful teams during his tenure, as he went 65-37 during his 8 years with the team, and has gone 50-15 in the last 5 years, winning a pair of Big 12 Conference championships and making appearances to 2 New York Six bowl games. However, Briles has been recently under fire after 2 players of the program have been convicted of sexual assault and another is on investigation. Alright, now, what I'm about to say, I pretty much, kind of said it when I covered the story of Ken Starr being fired. So, in reality, I don't want to say it's equivalent to the whole entire Jerry Sandusky thing, where it had Sandusky go to jail and caused Joe Paterno lose his job, and then later Joe Paterno dies. It's a different story because with this, it's really from the coach not being compatible to keeping his players in line, you know, in spite of all this scandal and not really doing anything about it. Whereas Paterno basically didn't say anything about Sandusky touching little kids and pretty much him getting away with it for years until this story finally came to light. And in reality, if the Paterno thing didn't make us learn something from this, this one surely does. That as a job for being a university coach, and really in the university in general, you have to teach these kids about life. And in reality, you have to make damn well sure that you're holding them accountable for. You can't condone any of this. I guess the old saying goes, as long as your team's winning, that's okay. This shouldn't be the case. Now, I know that there have been a lot of people that aren't necessarily angels in the sports world, but come on. You should at least hold these people accountable, or at least punish them in some way. And the fact that you ignore them is inexcusable. It's inexcusable in any sense of the word. And that's all I really got to say about it, because I already exhausted what I was going to say. So let's keep on going with the next story from the NBA. As of all the teams that are looking for head coaches in the next NBA season, the Houston Rockets may soon not be one of them, as reports have pointed them on working on a 4-year, $16 million plus deal for former Suns, Lakers, and Knicks coach Mike D'Antoni, with the 4th year being a team option. D'Antoni, who is made famous with 7 seconds or less offense, will be implemented around All-Star James Harden. He has found his best success when he was with the Phoenix Suns, leading them to Western Conference Finals twice in his 5 years with the team, alongside with Steve Nash. He also reached the playoffs with the Knicks and the Lakers respectively, and was an associate head coach for the 76ers, his first coaching job since he was let go as Lakers head coach at the end of the 2013-2014 season. He has been sought after for the position through the Rockets organization, and is considered to be his last stop as head coach. And however, this doesn't really come into much of controversy as Dwight Howard, who was coached by Mike D'Antoni in his only season with the Los Angeles Lakers, in the midst of conflict, is on his last year in the contract and is having an option whether or not if he wants to stay with the Rockets or not. Alright, I'm going to have an opinion on this. What in the hell are the Rockets thinking? Mike D'Antoni is a terrible fit. Or should I say Mike D'Antoni, because he don't play defense. And you have James Harden, who's one of the best two guards in the league. I'll give it that. But he can't play defense for shit. One thing that is for certain about Mike D'Antoni's teams, with that 7-second offense, your team is going to be fun to watch, but don't expect them to be a defensive juggernaut. And the fact that you have Dwight Howard, who in the past has been Defensive Player of the Year, you're pretty much going to have one of the worst defenses in the league. And this is from a Rockets team that not too long ago, under the one and only Kevin McHale, you were actually this close to reaching the finals against those Golden State Warriors. You were this close. You put them into a Game 7. And then you start off 4-7. You fire the one and only Kevin McHale. You go with under Bernie Bickerstaff, I believe, turned out to be the one to coach the Rockets for the rest of the year. I believe that was him. Let me know if that was not the case. Let me know in the comment section below if that's not necessarily the case. But Mike D'Antoni, what in the world are the Rockets thinking? I guess that if they really want to make this work, you better have some players that are able to fill the bucket in with relentless approach. And as far as the whole entire Dwight Howard thing goes, it has been well documented that they did clash with their style of play. And the fact that Dwight has been a little bit unhappy, matter of fact, that might be an understatement. Reports have been circulating that he is disgruntled in Houston. This could very well be the nail in the coffin for Dwight Howard's tenure in Houston. And it's really just a shame considering the fact that the dude is still relatively young at the age of 29. He's not even really 30. And many people are already saying he's past his prime. So we'll see how it all unfolds, and we'll see how the Rockets go from here on out for this season, for this next coming season, since that the playoffs are already there and they already got eliminated by those Golden State Warriors, who are now fighting for their playoff lives. And we'll get to them in just a moment. But first, we have to go from a story from the Los Angeles Times as a disastrous season for the Atlanta Braves has taken a turn for the worse as outfielder Hector Oliveira has been suspended for 82 games for his arrest on domestic violence charges, without pay, according to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred. Oliveira was arrested on April 13th at a hotel outside Washington, D.C. with a charge of assault and battery, and was immediately put on leave. This suspension will be retroactive to April 30th, and Oliveira will be eligible to return to playing baseball after August 1st. Alright, here are my thoughts on this. Of course, alright, this is kind of background on me. I'm a New York Yankees fan. It's not necessarily the best season for the Yankees this year, even though they did have that 6-game winning streak that was snapped. And of course, have now lost the last remaining 2 games against the Toronto Blue Jays. Spoiler alert. It's just really sad that, I mean, when are these people going to learn? I mean, now this is kind of being more like in the NFL with Roger Goodell suspending people who have been caught in trouble with the law. And of course, with Oliveira, he's getting a big chunk in 82 games. That's a long time to lose a lot of time in the baseball season, especially when your team is 1, in rebuilding mode, and 2, one of the worst teams in the league. And of course, with the Yankees, as I alluded to, Aroldis Chapman got in the same pantheon. Never really got charged or anything like that, but did get suspended until May. And Chapman, so far, he's been a beast. He's been as good as he has been, as we've expected him to be. And of course, you see Jose Reyes, who got suspended for the same thing, and that's where you see Trevor Story coming up from the Colorado Rockies organization. So that's really a little bit of what I want to touch on. And we'll go into a little bit of sports scores a little bit early as we go with the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Warriors last night. As the Warriors managed to stay alive last night as they defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder 120-111, forcing a Game 6 back in Oklahoma City. The Warriors were led by Stephen Curry's 31-point performance, along with his contribution of 5 steals as well. Kevin Durant played well for the Thunder despite the losing effort, leading all scorers with 40 points. Russell Westbrook also contributed with 31, 7, and 8 in a losing effort. Thunder still lead the series 3-2, and Game 6 will be aired this Sunday night on TNT. And we'll see if the Thunder will make their first finals appearance since 2011 when they faced the Miami Heat and lost, or will we see the Warriors manage to stay alive despite being down 3-1 initially? There have only been a handful of teams that have managed to do that, but if there's any team that could possibly do that, it could very well be this year's Golden State Warriors team, who did go 73-9, setting a record for most wins in an NBA season. And now we go on to some news from ESPN, as an end of an era is dawning upon them, as their main fixture, Chris Berman, who has been there since the network's inaugural year in 1979, has announced that he'll retire at the end of the 2016 NFL season. Berman is just one of the high-profile departures from the network as of late, along with Mike Tirico, who is the NFL Monday Night Football play-by-play guy, and shock jock jackass Skip Bayless, thank God, who've also parted ways with the network. Berman is best known with his style of sportscasting with his unique nicknames for players, which he is credited for being a pioneer of. He is a lead host for the network's NFL coverage, also having high-profile roles with Major League Baseball and golf coverage, along with SportsCenter in his early years. ESPN has declined to comment on this matter. Now, here are my thoughts on this. First of all, congrats on Chris Berman for 37 years of being a part of the network, and really, it is signaling the familiarity that you have seen of SportsCenter for so many years come to an end. 37 years is a long time, and I wish Berman the best of luck for retirement, and I hope that you manage to have some fun along the way while covering this 2016 NFL season. Enjoy, and really, now for me, I haven't watched ESPN in a long time, but it is a little bit interesting to know that a lot of the familiar faces I've been used to from the network, they're soon withering away and actually no longer a part of the network and moving on to bigger and better things. So that's all I got to say on that, and then we go into our last story before we get into some scores. As we go into a little bit of a victory for second baseman Rougned Odor, as the Texas Rangers second baseman had his suspension reduced from 8 games to 7 games for his punch on Blue Jay slugger Jose Bautista. This incident first took place after Bautista tried to break up a double play, appearing to slide close to being a violation of the new slide rule that was implemented by the MLB this year, thanks in large part to Chase Headley's slide in last year's playoffs. This led to a bench clear-out shortly thereafter. Odor has been appealing this suspension since it was first known in the aftermath of the event, and according to MLB Network, he will start serving that suspension on Friday. Now, here are my thoughts on the whole entire Rougned Odor, Jose Bautista situation. Now, granted, Odor had some bit of leverage on being a little bit, PO'd a little bit, how Jose Bautista slid or anything like that, made me thinking it was a little bit dirty, but I don't know. Keep in mind that Odor did start this and cold-cocked him with a right hook. That really kind of started this whole entire thing, so we'll see if Odor goes right in and redeems himself and shakes off that whole entire label of him as a dirty player, because this incident is not necessarily making anything better for him. And that will do it for the sports news. Now let's get into some scores from last night. Now here are some scores from Major League Baseball. The Pirates blew out the D-backs 8-3. Marlins destroyed the Rays 9-1. The Nationals beat the Cards 2-1. And the Rockies blow out the Red Sox 8-2 in the day that they retire Wade Boggs' number. And now the lone game from the NHL playoffs as the Pittsburgh Penguins punch their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals as they outlast the Lightning 2-1, taking this series in 7. This will be the 5th Stanley Cup Finals appearance for the Pittsburgh Penguins, their first since 2009 when they won it all against the Detroit Red Wings. And that'll do it for this episode of For the Record. Hope you guys enjoy the new format. If you do, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this episode. Go ahead and like the video below. Subscribe if you guys are new and you just managed to stumble into this video for some odd reason. Also, let me know if you want me to do any improvements from here on out. Whether if you just want to improve on where I'm setting it up or anything else in between, just let me know. And also give me any suggestions on what sports stories specifically that I should cover, and I'll go right ahead and put that in for the next episode, whatever that may be. So on behalf of Before the Record, I'm Andrew Patrick, and I'm out. Stay classy, everyone.
Wicked when I kick it, yeah, that's the ticket for the record.